When I searched on the internet for the effect of money on religion, I came across several websites that explain how to form your own religion, what to say, what to do, with the whole purpose of getting rich. So once a religion is run by lovers of money, they're no longer lovers of truth or lovers of God's word.
We don't send out monthly statements to each of Jehovah's Witnesses specifying a dollar amount that should be submitted to finance the work worldwide. Millions of dollars are required each month to finance the colossal kingdom work that is being supported by this organization in some 239 lands. Where does all of the financial support come from? Largely from you, dear brothers and sisters.
Welcome to the show. My name is Jake, and we are live. Thank you for joining me for the Sunday service. And today we're going to be looking at morning worships. What are morning worships? I don't know. I wish I would have written something before I started streaming. They're basically for people at Bethel headquarters, the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses. It is essentially a cult compound, and people live there and work there. And so for the people who work at Bethel, every morning they have breakfast and they will do a special worship program that corresponds to their daily text thing. And some of them are released on the website, some are not. And that's what we're going to look at, is these weird videos that are just 10-minute morning worship programs are usually the source of some interesting bits of rhetoric, and I have a special guest to help me cover these things. But before we get to that, I have to shout out an incredibly important way to start the stream, which is ICU. $50 super chat. Let's get this party started the right way. Thank you so much. That is insane. And I dare say it's almost angelic direction, because I'm going to rip this off like a Band-Aid. Super chats are much appreciated. We need help with rent this month if anyone wants to donate or anything, and that's it. And I'm not going to mention money anymore, but they might. Here to help me is a celebrity in the XJW space. You may know him as the face of the XJW Caleb channel. Please welcome Danny Boy.
Hello. First of all, I just want to say that's amazing. I see you coming on hot with 50 of the big ones that I had to shout them out. I had to shout them. I had to. It's just, that's insane. What a great way to start the stream.
Yes. And you suggested a very
this is tobacco, by the way.
That's tobacco. I have tobacco.
20% nicotine. Because
you suggested calling this Wake and Bake with Danny and Jake. And I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. That is a better, put it in the chat. That's just it's a better name. Just say yes in the chat. Just
say yes.
It's obviously a better name.
That's right.
I wish my name was Jake, so I didn't have to include you. I could have just called it Wake and Bake with Jake, and then I would have just been myself. But I'm like, nah.
Wake and Bake with Jake.
I know a Jake though, so I'll have to include him for the fun title.
Now, one thing I will say, and this is a promise to the viewers, I'll never do a man bun as long as I live on Earth. I'm morally and constitutionally opposed to them. I couldn't think of a good word. I'm a conscientious objector. I was trying to think of the witness term. So without any further ado, let's get to some of these morning worship programs. By no further ado, I mean, I actually want to watch a different thing first.
Oh yeah. Let's do a further ado first then.
One thing I do like to do every once in a while is I will check out the What's New section. It's similar to the What's New Pussycat section, but it's not. It's just what's new on the website. And there's this video that you informed me was actually on the convention, but I didn't watch this. How our brothers are enjoying peace despite depression. It's a short video, but I think it is one of the more sophisticated bits of propaganda they've put out. So let's just start watching this, and we'll pause it and yell at how annoyed we are.
Let's start. Sounds like a plan.
My mom always told me I've always been a caregiver ever since I was a little girl. It was just part of who I was. I don't like to see people suffer. It's very difficult for me.
I'll say this. Oh, it's difficult for you. For some people, it's really easy to watch people suffer. Now, I wanted to say this woman seems very nice and well intentioned. I don't intend to make fun of her at all.
Even though you just did, but yeah,
I just did, but surely it won't happen again. I thought it was interesting that they showed her first and last name because, as we might see in some of the morning worship thingies, whenever an example of anybody is cited, not only will they often not use a name, but when they do use a name, they will say that they've changed the name. So it's like they're very rarely candid, but these videos are an opportunity to get actual real experiences. And I feel like they're going out of their way to make this not the typical stilted interview with a witness. It's almost like dash cam footage of this sister.
Yeah, it's very natural.
Yes.
I remember when I first started working as a nurse. I would always cry. I cried every day that I had to go to work.
Worth mentioning that, I don't know, for weird cultural reasons, even though it takes about 4 years of schooling to become a nurse, it's considered okay to be a nurse in Jehovah's Witnesses, even though if you went to get a 4-year degree in anything else, they would tell you not to do it.
And even though they will tell you that we won't need nurses in paradise. Well, they won't tell you that we won't need nurses in paradise. They tell you that we won't need doctors in paradise. But have you noticed how they've never said we will never need nurses in paradise? It's only doctors.
That's true.
The doctor's way.
That's really true. I mean, you know, you might still stub your toe in paradise. Who knows?
Maybe, you know, that could happen.
This is a question I've always had. If you chop your finger off on accident in paradise, does it just grow back, or is it just you are so coordinated that it's just impossible for such a thing to happen?
I think it's just impossible because you're perfect, and that
could never
perfection. Like you could never cut yourself. However, I wondered, what if I want to like throw myself out down a cliff because I want to, like, I'm perfect and I know that I'm going to survive and I want to experience it. Like, what happens then? If I'm perfect, what happens then? I never knew. Maybe that's why nurses are needed in paradise, you know, for idiots like me.
Oh, good deal. Crystal has got an update since the last time she was in chat, living happily in a new town, in a new apartment with new friends. University's going great. Love it.
Ayo. Awesome.
Good deal.
Not only was I overwhelmed being a new nurse.
I also don't know what it says about me, but I thought about that. What if you throw yourself off a cliff in paradise thing all the time?
I mean, what else are you going to think of during the movie?
I was feeling so sad. I really needed Jehovah's help to figure out what was going on with me. And I remember the 2009 article about depression came out. And I realized, okay, Jehovah, you're telling me this is what I have. So now that I realize I have this, I got to figure out how I can manage it.
I hate this so
Diagnosed
much.
by propaganda.
I hate this so much. But this is so important. Like, depression was not a viable diagnosis until the Watchtower print today.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those quotes?
That's literally, like, it sounds like you're exaggerating. It really isn't, though. Like, you're really not exaggerating. Like, the fact that they printed about depression made it so Jehovah's Witnesses could acknowledge that was a thing. So yeah, you're totally correct.
Yeah, like I released a video last week where I reflected on my judicial committee, and one of the things the elder says is like, well, during COVID, I mean, without the governing body's direction, who knows where we would be? We wouldn't know what to do, because in their mind, there's simply no way to know what professionals to trust unless Watchtower tells you which professionals to trust. Like, that is the culture. But as you will see, even though she keeps saying she needed Jehovah's help, she actually needed not that. She needed a doctor.
So I changed my eating habits. I started exercising a lot more. I realized that exercising and eating healthy really, really did help. Also, I made a journal,
by the way.
Just you wait.
And I made different sections of the different aspects of my depression that I dealt with. Each section, I would put scriptures, I would put articles, and the illustrations, the pictures. they speak a lot without saying anything.
She collected quotes from witness articles, quotes from the Witness Bible, and pictures from witness publications.
Yes.
This sounds like, and again, I'm not insulting this person. This is what witnesses are directed to do, but that sounds more like a middle school arts and crafts project than what an adult should be doing to treat their depression.
Yeah, middle school arts and project about indoctrination. It's like it will be like a very cute collage, and it will be my cult. It was just very cute, you know.
Yeah. Well, this video takes quite a turn. Chad is like, this isn't going to work. Well, you're right. Weirdly,
Jehovah hears us.
That's not Jehovah.
Cares.
That's not Jehovah. That's Jesus as a shepherd or something.
Yeah, that's a shepherd representing Jesus.
Yeah.
Exercising, changing my diet, the publications, journaling. That was my lifeline. That really actually helped me for a long time. But it came to a point where it stopped working.
What was that? Oh, we just want to got the dog.
As effectively. I remember getting ready, dressed for the meeting. And I was fine, getting dressed for a meeting, about to walk out the door, but I couldn't. There was this overwhelming fear that came over me, and overwhelming sadness that came over me. And
that's called going to the meeting, by the way.
I just lost it. I just started crying. I couldn't get myself together. It was bad. It got really bad. My depression got really bad.
I think
it doesn't work. Journaling, changing your diet, or doing exercise, all of those are great by themselves. They don't necessarily work. That's why you need a doctor. Like, it's very irresponsible that they're saying this. Like, this worked when it didn't. Like, it didn't even work for her. Like, she's like, it worked for me, but then it didn't. Like, it didn't work for you. Why are you giving that advice when it didn't even work for you? It's just insane.
Yes, and it's like, I have mixed feelings about this video, because on one hand, like, I'm really glad that they're giving Jehovah's Witnesses permission to feel like it's okay to have depression and it's okay to seek professional help, which is where we're going here. But Jenny points out her subconscious is telling her this JW life is killing you, but she's unable to listen. Yeah, that's
really clear. Yes.
Yeah, that's like your body trying to fight against a virus, and you're like, no, I won't take the pills.
Yeah, but it's a mind virus, indoctrination.
The woke mind virus.
So it was very difficult for me to approach the brothers to ask them for help.
Was it because you thought you would get in trouble and get yelled at and that you wouldn't be encouraged, perhaps?
Exactly.
But at that time, I knew that if I didn't, that something bad would happen.
Yeah, they're getting around saying it, but it sounds like she was like really in a dark place, like suicidally depressed.
Yeah, something bad would happen. Is Jehovah is, remember, this is a toxic positivity cult. If they say something bad was about to happen, that's code for, unaliving yourself.
Yeah,
that's what she's talking about, very, very clearly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna ask for a shepherding call with my brothers, because I never talked about my depression with the elders at all. This was my first time speaking with them. And there was one brother, one of the elders, who also battled depression. And he suggested, have you thought about seeking medical help?
Now, thank God that happened, because you can find just as many examples of people who went to the elders with similar issues and they're told, rely on Jehovah, and to be wary about getting help. Exactly. And like, this is something that I know, I don't think Christina would mind me saying this, but like, she got pushed back from people in the congregation when she said that she was going to start seeing a therapist, because they were like, well, be careful. Be careful, because they are in Satan's world. They don't know Jehovah. They might not give you the best advice. And I think that comes from a place of like, subconsciously, that one of the things they're going to say is like, well, do you need to be spending so much time in the ministry and stuff like that?
Not just that, it's just I feel like subconsciously you know that part of your depression is tied to cult stuff, but you can't tell that I feel at least when I went to a psychiatrist the very first time, I felt like the stuff about the cult, I couldn't tell that because it would give bad testimony. So I couldn't tell that, oh,
Yeah.
it's just I hate going to the meetings. I absolutely fucking hate it. I hate it because my ADHD acts up and I can't, like, I felt like I couldn't say that at least at the beginning. So yeah, it's still, you can't be truly open when you're a Jehovah's Witness unless you go against the doctrine and say things that are going to hurt Jehovah's name necessarily, you know.
Yeah. Crystal says my abusive mother refused to let me get help for my anxiety and depression. I later got diagnosed as autistic and PTSD. Neglect is abuse, and that is so true. I know that Christine and I have both been diagnosed with PTSD by our respective therapists, and I have to assume that it is very common for anybody leaving a high control group. Falling Tower. Matt says, shepherding call with elders, typically the worst move you can make. They will usually say, do more. Pray, service, meetings, commenting, serving, do more and more. The exact opposite of your health, which is exactly. Like, they got so lucky that they happen to have one example of elders kind of going outside the bounds of what's typically recommended and going against the culture and recommending professional help.
Yeah, because as you can tell, the elder said that not because that's what the elders are trained to do. The elder said that because of a personal experience. You know, it's not the religion telling him that he should say that. He said it out of personal experience.
Yeah, I before we get back into this, I'll share a personal example that I don't think I've really talked about before.
Personal experience.
A personal experience. That's the phrase I was looking for. So when I was just experiencing like horrific cognitive dissonance, and I knew that I had real doubts about whether or not it was the truth, but I was too afraid to do research. But I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm in a cult, but I'm too afraid to do anything about it. My health was bad with my Crohn's, and I went to see a new doctor who would end up eventually. This is how I ended up getting the surgery that I've had. But she, like, I just at some point just started crying because she asked, like, it just seems like you're under a lot of stress. Like, it seems like there's something else going on. And I just started crying, and I didn't know what to say. And I felt myself want to say, I think I'm in a cult. I don't know what to do about it. I'm really scared. But I didn't say it. And it was months after that before I even did any research. So that's like how bad it can get, where like a medical professional is treating you and saying, I can tell that something is wrong. And you're like, no, because Jehovah.
But why didn't you say it? Why did you feel like you couldn't say it? Like, you wanted to say it. Why kept you from saying it?
Because it would make it real. It would make it, then you can't unsay it. And like, you're confirming that this thing that is just a thought is actually true. And like, if you acknowledge that something is a problem, you kind of have to do something about it. And so it's easier to tell yourself, like, no, I'm being unreasonable by even thinking this. So I'm just going to keep it inside and try and fight against that feeling.
Yeah. That's, I think that's very valuable for anyone who's waking up or helping anyone to wake up, because it's hard. It's hard. Like it's hard to even just exteriorize it. But even when you're in with a medical professional whose only job is to listen to you, who you're paying to trauma dump, basically.
Yeah.
Like, even then, it's very hard. So yeah, no, it's really hard. That's why it's a cult. That's why it's a cult.
Yes, absolutely.
Seeking professional help was something I never wanted to do. I thought that I didn't need to do it. But sometimes there comes a point where you need additional help. And what you're doing is not enough. In this world, they make you feel like it's a bad thing, that depression is a dirty word, or
No. It is not in this world. It is within Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes.
God damn it.
I love that.
Did you end up pulling any quotes about like therapy or psychology?
100%. Yes.
I gave
let me show you.
homework to Danny.
Yes.
That would
Let me
great.
show you. Can I show you? Can I show you the entire screen? Because that will be easier.
If
I
you
think.
send it to me in WhatsApp, I can probably pull it up. Oh shit, you can totally do that. Look at you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So look, here is a quote from an awake from 1975. So not that long ago. It is under how mental health can be restored. This is the magazine. Can I open? Can I zoom in? Sort of. Like this is the magazine that it's taken from, and it right here. They have psychiatric school necessary. Remember, this is about mental health. They're talking about mental health. They're acknowledging it. And in 1975, they're saying that most of the stuff that they talk about and that you talk about in an appointment with a psychiatrist, they don't even teach it at school.
Yeah.
What? I don't understand. And then it even follows with certain psychiatrists have acknowledged that the wisdom and understanding contained in God's words, the Bible, is of greater value in treating the mentally ill than is worldly schooling. We also have this other one from, when is this?
Do you want to scroll up to the very top? What did it say?
This is the very top. It's just
that is the very top.
Can I see the? Oh, this is from Shepherd the Flock of God. Oh, perfect. Wait, is it?
No, that's not from Shepherd the Flock of God.
Anyway, where was it? I mean,
oh, your mic's being a little weird, by the way.
Oh, okay. Let me know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Turn on the fan. Okay, perfect. This is about the value of disciplining children, and here they actually talk about how many psychologists put a hands-off sign on children, but the Bible says that you would actually be hating your children if you don't discipline them if you don't physically discipline your children, even though psychologists are telling you not to. And we have several more, but I don't want to take.
Wait, let's. I want to read this real quick. It says
sure.
Many child psychologists put a hands-off sign on children, as did one who said, "Do you mothers realize that every time you spank your child, you show that you are hating your child? But in His word, God says, He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him." Not the point, but this is something that Jeffrey Jackson directly lies about in the Australian Royal Commission when he is confronted by Angus Stewart on whether or not the organization has ever advocated for corporal punishment. They absolutely historically have. So I thank you so much for pulling these. And also, yes, JWS Online Library is really great. It's got all of the archives.
I'll show you one last one because people are going to be like, "Oh, this is just old stuff. What are you talking about?"
Right.
Well, let's see what we actually have in jw.org right now. Right now, if you look for mental health help, you have like this old watchtower. Well, sort of old watchtower, but it's still. When is it from?
No, it's 2023.
Oh yeah, perfect. So it's the newest one actually, and it's the advice that they give is prayer, comfort from the scriptures, benefit from Bible examples, basically compare yourself to others. The Bible offers practical advice and how to help those with mental health challenges. That's it.
Yeah.
And no, they don't over here. They do talk a little bit about, oh, maybe somebody. Oh no, actually, not in this one. No, they don't even talk about this one. In this, I was looking for it, but they don't actually say you should go to a doctor. Maybe like this is about mental health, and it doesn't say you should go to a doctor. Maybe so. Even now, they have like this huge thing where whenever they bring out the issue, they say everything but the answer of just going to a doctor, which to a Jehovah's Witness is kind of like soft pressure to not do what they're not telling you. It's a very direct way of soft pressure that the Jehovah's Witnesses use.
Yeah, that's such a thank you for bringing out that nice example Danny, in your comment. Thank you for highlighting. No, yeah, like even their like 2023 mental health issue for the general public is like, well, steps 1 through
Yeah.
4 all involve not doing anything about your mental health with a professional. And I'm glad that you brought up the argument that it's, oh, well, that was old light. Well, first of all, those teachings don't go away just because
Yeah.
they may or may not be on the Watchtower online library, because for decades those things were instilled over and over again as reminders, like every other teaching of Jehovah's Witnesses. So anybody who in their formative years was a part of that generation, that's still how they think, because that's how they were taught to think. So
anyone who's old enough will remember this and will assume that this is still the case. It's just they haven't shown it in the publications lately, but they haven't shown the opposite. So meaning, it's still the case for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. ICU says we got the belt in my house. And I mean, many of my friends got hit with a belt. I got spanked a couple times.
Me too.
But
no, I got spanked with a belt a couple of times a week. That was just it was a normal occurrence all the way until I was like almost like well into my teenage years. So yeah, no, I definitely got physically punished.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I had a friend who like got beat with a wooden spoon. The luggage says at home my dad used a wooden stick in the corner of the room. It only had one purpose. Yeah. Jesus. The belts are a wooden spoon, says my wife. Holy shit. We're gonna have to talk about this later. I didn't know that. If only I could talk to her somehow other than just through chat, but it's not possible. So what this video is, it's an attempt to like be a broad signal to everyone in the organization. Like, we are changing the culture. Professional help is okay. Depression's a real thing, blah, blah, blah. But it has to overcome decades of the organization's own advice. But that's the thing they're not acknowledging.
Exactly.
Damn, so many people. Jenny Bloom the Belt was at my house too. I was very well behaved because that was my thing. Like we would get spanked, but after getting spanked a couple times, I was just terrified. And I think speaks to a lot of anxiety I have to this day about like making people mad or upsetting people.
No, I mean, that was just the go-to. You did something wrong. You misbehaved at the Kingdom Hall. Like they counted how many hits I was gonna get in the Kingdom Hall when I was misbehaving. Like I was just so I could get to behave, and then I would forget, and they're like, "That's two." It was horrifying. That's why I hate being in the Kingdom Hall.
Every witness kid knows the look that they got from their parents that meant that they were going to get spanked when they got home from the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh my God. I just got a whole bunch of like memory unlocks.
I know. Okay. I'll tell one story that really stands out to me. Okay. So my dad was reading the Watchtower one day. He's an elder. He was not conducting me. He's reading. So he's sitting in the chair off to the side, between paragraphs. Mom wasn't there for whatever reason. She was probably sick or something. Me and my sister are goofing off and I think chewing gum and being loud. And from the stage where he's sitting, he snaps, points at us. So in front of the entire congregation, that happens. I remember that so vividly.
My God. And that was your signal to, oh my God, Jesus.
That was the last time it ever happened, though. And that's their defense. Well, you learned, didn't you? Yeah, I learned to be terrified of you.
I got traumatized. I got PTSD for that. Yes, I learned.
And yet, for some reason, this woman started crying when she thought about going to the Kingdom Hall. I don't know why. I don't know what sort of accumulated trauma could make a person be afraid to go to the Kingdom Hall, but weird. I'm glad she got over that.
Seeking medical help is something that you don't do. But I realized also that seeking medical help was part of my...
And this is the kind of wisdom you can only get in the Bible, by the way. Those who are ill need a physician. Incredible. How else could you know such a thing?
How else would you know that?
Only in God's word can you get advice like that.
Being able to worship Jehovah effectively. That's me doing my part. Not everyone needs to take that step, but for me, this is what I need to do. And I'm glad I did it, because the fact that I've never ever felt this good in my life.
Yeah, great. Okay, so anyway, that's basically all I wanted to talk about with that.
Yeah, because they don't go again onto how good doctors are. Like they just don't talk about it. They just talk about it like once. I remember covering it for the convention. They talk about it once. They just drop it there, and they're like, "That's it. We did our job. Like we did our job. We technically said that doctors are okay. Let's move back to Jehovah."
Christina did tell me about this. There's a bench outside the hall I grew up in, and you never wanted to be taken out there. It meant a spanking and a timeout were going to take place. Gotta love being spanked in God's house. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. So that was unfortunately triggering. Sorry about that. But let's get to something more fun, question mark, which are morning worship programs. I like to keep an eye on these every once in a while, but it's now been like many months since I've watched any of these, except for one, which I was thinking about doing a full video on, like a rebuttal, but I think we'll just watch it here. And so the guys who I had on this thumbnail were just like from the 3 most recent morning worship videos. I was like, oh, we'll watch those. We'll watch the most recent ones. And then I was clicking through them to try and find a fun clip for the beginning of the broadcast, and they were all kind of boring. So I think ignore the men in the thumbnail. They're all kind of the same. They're all robots.
They're literally this. They're almost undistinguishable from each other. It's fine.
But let's start with this lovers of money thing, because it's pretty incredible. This is the one that we saw at the very beginning. And Christina had the same reaction I did, which is that, you know, why are they inconsistent about putting makeup on these men? I have the decency to when I'm going to be on camera. I put a little foundation. I make it nice. Make it look nice for the audience.
Lovers.
Then you got this guy. Not to shame anybody, but this could have been avoided.
Yeah.
Of money. That didn't sound too bad. I mean, compared to betrayers, fears.
What?
Lovers of money. That didn't sound too bad. I mean, compared to betrayers, fears, slanderers, and other traits listed in 2 Timothy 3, what's so bad about being a lover of money?
Immediately, we're starting out with a very annoying and stupid thing that I hate. That was not very articulate. But I just it's very clear to anybody with any kind of thinking ability at all that being too obsessed with money is bad.
Yeah.
Very clear. Immediately.
That doesn't sound too bad.
It does.
Love is good, right? Love.
You need money for goods and services. Like he's doing all this to make a very obvious point. We have a great pause phase.
I wonder what point he's going to make. I wonder where he's going. I can't see. I don't know.
I know. It's one of 5 revolving morning worship talks that they give. This is one of the watchtower today, which I also thought about talking about, is like, we need to avoid temptation, we need to avoid blood transfusions, and avoid being discouraged. And it's like, this could be any watchtower in the last 150 years. It's just the same old shit. Yeah. But now we get this guy's glorious countenance.
A lot. Once a person loves money more than a lot. Once a person loves money more than anything or anyone else, it corrupts them. For example, let's consider what lovers of money have done an effect on big business. Now, a business that produces a good product at a fair price, consumers and others appreciate. However, when a business is run by lovers of money, they cut corners.
This is so infantile. Like, this is their understanding of business.
This is their understanding of economics.
This is why they're
this is economics 101 for Jehovah's Witnesses, and they don't have any other course.
It also, I think we often remark as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses about the fact that the organization is so American capitalistic, right? Like, it's so basic. And so they have this notion of there are good businessmen and bad. There are obviously benevolent businessmen who just out of the goodness of their hearts make.
They just want to make good products, and they don't care about profit.
That's all they want, is good products at a decent price. But some other people in search of money will do bad things. It's like all these things are related. It's not so simple.
And I love how like their capitalistic understanding, like their myopic capitalistic understanding, makes it so the only examples that they can come up with is about corporations because they are a corporation themselves. So it's just that is the only way they see the world through this very myopic capitalistic organizational lens, where everything is kind of like an organization like them, which is it's so very clearly not the case.
Yeah, and like there's I was talking about this with Danny. Folding Ideas, Dan Olson put out a really fantastic video yesterday called "This is Financial Advice." He's really great at breaking down like internet conspiracy theories that relate to like tech bros and finance and stuff. And so he's breaking down this weird almost like apocalyptic conspiracy group that's formed in the wake of like the GameStop short sell thing. And he's breaking down research on people who are like predisposed to conspiracy theories and stuff. And one of them is overconfidence. Like you have to have a certain degree of overconfidence that you, who are not a professional in any of this stuff, somehow know more than people who do dedicate their entire lives to these things. And that explains so much of these talks. Like this guy is, look at his smug face. I know a smug face. I have one. He's got one, and he's talking like he knows more about, like he's preaching. Peachy's so scary. Look, she looks scared.
Come here.
You are safe. You are safe, baby.
Peaches break. This is the break, so you guys don't forget to
And
like
look,
and subscribe.
She's like,
and,
no stress.
She's like, I'm not gonna give that old man my money.
Shrug. She's shrugging at it. Thank you for
Peaches
the
break,
cameo.
like and subscribe, please.
Like and subscribe. I mean, if
Or
I was gonna,
Peaches.
I mean, surely we can top a $50 super chat. I think we can do it. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, we're talking about lovers of money. It's apropos.
No, you can't.
My
No, you
money
can't. Come on.
will be going directly towards rent and not child sexual abuse cover-ups.
They lie about risks, accept or offer bribes, or basically do anything they can to raise their stock price or increase profits. We've all seen the constant upgrades, the completely false advertisements, and many people
It's an
today
ongoing
just
process.
accept that as so common and so normal that they say it's just business.
People do just say that.
How have lovers of money affected governments?
Oh, this will
Well,
be
when
profound.
lovers of money get into power, government for the people becomes government for them. Public money is diverted into private bank accounts that makes these politicians and government leaders very wealthy.
Like he's not saying anything untrue, but he's just saying things that are so basic they almost needn't be said.
It's just it's just so basic. It's like when governments are led by bad people, bad things happen.
Yes.
And
Like-
in that's slow and everything, and you're like, I mean, you have a point, but yeah, I mean, it's an obvious thing. It's like it's insane. Like he's not saying, oh, you know, when governments are run for profit and are allowed to be run for profit, and corporations are allowed to run the government, then you know that's when we can get to like the latest stage of capitalism, and that's why right now things are not working out. Like that would be at least a little bit more profound. But no, he's like, you know, when bad, then bad. Did you know? Jesus.
It's also like they kind of pride themselves on making these like very, very simple points because they think that like the lack of depth is the depth. Like the simpler it is, the more profound it is. So they whittle down something kind of complex into this pithy statement that's like, okay, but you could get this anywhere. You could get this kind of information literally anywhere. The only thing that they're adding is the angle to support the in-group, which is what we're going to get to.
You can get this kind of information at a preschool. I honestly feel like this is like when kids, if kids ever asked about, like they see local elections and they ever ask to their teacher about local elections, and they'll be like, hey, what's a good governor? Oh, well, a good governor is one that doesn't love money, is one that loves the people. Like that's what you tell to a kindergartner. Like that,
Yeah.
it's literally that level. It's insane.
Maybe he's going to talk about Citizens United.
The power that love of money has to corrupt even the most well-meaning men and women in politics, we can see it in full effect around us. It's an everyday occurrence.
What if he started being like, Bernie clearly sold out to the DNC, you know, he's now in it for the money. He started like getting really political about it.
Oh, I wish.
That's not something I feel, by the way. I just thought it'd be funny if he started going on a real like specific rant about it.
No government on earth is immune to the effect that lovers of money have on government. In fact, the suffering of many people around the world can be traced back to greed and lovers of money in government.
Whoa.
Well, what effect have lovers of money had on Christendom and false religion? Well, once Christendom's priests or ministers started to charge for their services or press their congregations very hard for money, it had a corrupting influence on the worship of God. Money changed how religion worked.
This is where it gets interesting. This is why I wanted to make that like intro
Sounds like
clip.
a self-report, if anything.
It is. It's just really weird. Where, I mean, it's the old phrase that like every accusation is a confession. Like everything that they're saying is like, but it's okay when we do it, because when we ask you for money, you know what we're asking for. We're asking for, you know, to further the worldwide preaching work, and the actual members don't know that it's also going to like silence former members who were victims of sexual abuse, and it's also going towards all sorts of shady shit.
That's where it's mostly going nowadays. I would argue.
I almost made a stupid joke, but I reported that I almost made it and didn't, so I think I deserve some credit.
Change the relationship of people, ministers, to their congregation. I mean, to illustrate for a moment, think of a wife that goes to her husband and hands him a bill for all the work she's done in the family.
Yes.
And the husband turns around and gives her a bill for all the work he does in the family. Do you think that might change the relationship in the family? How they feel about one another and the work they do? Of course it would. Jehovah inspired Paul to see the corrupting influence that lovers of money would have on religion. These verses, I came across several websites that explain how to form your own religion, what to say, what to do, with the whole purpose of getting rich. So
I'm suspicious of the fact that he was looking up an article like this, to be honest.
Like, how easy is it? What would he have possibly have like how to make money religion? I guess. Like, is there a
what was he looking up?
And I can't find anything like how to make money with a faith-based YouTube channel. And then I don't know the top sources for income to churches. I guess this is what he was looking for, but it's not like there's like a WikiHow being like, oh, here's how you start a religion. You know,
I would love it if there was a WikiHow with like the old like pictures of you know, the drawings that look like they're from an Awake magazine.
Pick a symbol for your religion.
That it would be interesting if we could play this back, and it would just sound like Ben Shapiro. Like, okay, let's say somebody, husband, gives his wife an invoice for all the work that she does in the family. Okay, let's just say that. That's what it would sound
also
like.
They could put in that player, they could put it on settings. Like they could just put the option, because I'm pretty sure like that is a built-in thing, like in all of the things that they use, like that in all the players, right? So they could put that, but they're never going to do that. They're never going to give witnesses the option.
It would be great if they did have a speed changer, but it only went slower. It was like, do you want to play at 1x, 0.5, or 0.25?
Those are the speed options.
Right. So anyway, for some reason, it doesn't matter why, but John Eckern was Googling how to make money off of a religion, and he found an article that he's now relating to you. And
Once
thank
a
God
religion
wouldn't
is
study that.
run by lovers of money, they're no longer lovers of truth or lovers of God's word.
I'll just let this play, because what are the chances you're going to say something interesting? But like, okay, can we just for a second appreciate the fact that if this group ran out of money, this guy wouldn't have a job. He would have to get a job. He would have to get health insurance. He would have to find a place to live. Like, if the group ran out of money, all of these men would be out on the streets with no skills that they could apply. You know, they would have to stay with a witness. The branch can afford to buy one house for Anthony Morris maybe one time, but they're not going to be able to do that for everybody if the money stops coming in. So, like, it's not that they're doing it to get rich. I think that there are very obvious other reasons why religions spread and become corrupt, because of power and influence and just the seduction of that. That's the thing that they never talk about. They don't ever talk about like lovers of power.
Yeah, I think they're not lovers of money, but they are lovers of money, like of getting money for not doing anything for the community. Like they're not doing any kind of productive labor, and yet they expect to be paid for that, even though the labor that they do, it is literally non-productive. It produces literally nothing. It is nothing for nobody.
And it produces future banks and Burger Kings.
Yes. But that's it. Like they expect to be paid by it. So I don't know. Like, sure, you may not be a lover of money, but I think you are a lover of money when you expect money for doing nothing, which is what they are doing. Like that's when you love money. When you expect money for literally nothing, that's lover of money. It doesn't matter how much money you expect. Like these guys are doing nothing for the community. They're harming the community, and they expect to be paid for it, that's lover of money in my book.
Yeah, well, what these guys really love is the system that they inherited. They like the organization. They like the group. They like the Bethel structure in these buildings and the things they get to do. And they really want to perpetuate it and keep it going. And in order to do that, they do need money in order to have enough resources to keep their men in Rolexes and suits. Like it's not necessarily that they're doing it so that they can have private jets, that they are doing it so that they can keep doing the thing that they're doing that demonstrably harms millions of people and prevents them from getting therapy, perhaps, or life-saving medical care.
I'm told that they can buy God's forgiveness. Basically, you can bribe God not to punish you. It kind of goes like this. You've done bad. God is going to punish you. So give money to me and the church, and God will forgive you. You see, this scam and variations of it have a long history. Indulgences sold by the Catholic Church back in the 16th century are very good examples of such greed. Mm-hmm. Indulgences were basically the church saying you can pay for God not to punish you. The Awake, August 1988, explained how Martin Luther felt about the Catholic Church.
You'll notice that when they're critiquing corruption in the Catholic Church, they have to go back to the 1600s and not, say, for example, now, because now they have almost the exact same issues as the modern Catholic Church. They don't do indulgences anymore.
Yeah, they're like, you can tell that the evil Catholic Church is evil if you go to the Middle Ages. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you go to the Crusades. Yes. Yeah, because if they get too modern, then they'd have to...
They were torturing people. Like, you don't have to bring up this example if you're going to go that far, Like, just... You can bring up better examples of the Catholic Church being in the wrong.
Yeah, talk about
if you're willing to go 500 years in the past.
Yeah, they're not going to talk about their more recent issues, which completely mirror the things they're going through now.
Record was the one Satan offered to Jesus. Satan said, I will give you, bribe you, all the kingdoms of the world, basically pay you if you fall down and do an act of worship to me. Now let's contrast Satan's and Christendom's view on love of money with Jesus' words at Matthew chapter 10 and verse 8.
Bible.
Make lepers clean, expel demons. You receive
These are things that we as Jehovah's Witnesses do not do.
free, give free. Now, why, after stating these beautiful, wonderful things they could do for people, would Jesus say something like, you received free, give free? Because Jesus knew that the love of money could corrupt these wonderful miracles that they could do for others. I mean, Jesus had seen how money had corrupted many over the years he had seen mankind.
Yeah, great. I don't know if we need to see any more of this.
I want to bring out the clip where they show people like in a camp, in a refugee camp, donating to the cult and being like, and showing to John Ecker and being like, this you?
Yeah.
This you?
Why, like, the example they constantly go to is the poor widow. And I hate to do this. I hate to be Watchtower and cite my own source, but I'm not really doing that. But I'm going to go to JWFAQ because I know I did an article that dealt with this. I probably have some good quotes. Yeah, okay. So on JW.org, they have an article, Do Jehovah's Witnesses Have a Paid Clergy? Because they like to frame an argument that they'd rather have than the more interesting question. And no, they don't have a paid clergy. But they do have like a very obvious, oh wait, no, it's not this. It's the practice tithing thing. Yeah, okay. So let me share this now. Because to me, this is the heart of the matter. Like, no, okay, if you want to say that they're witness religious leaders are different from Christendom because of the different lifestyle that they live, whatever, sure, that's fine. But they're still putting the onus on the poorest members to give money that they may or may not have in order to perpetuate a group that makes their life worse. Like this 2018 Watchtower, an important part of our worship is unselfish giving. In this way, we show that we value and support the work of Jehovah's organization, which, yeah, the implication is that if you don't donate, you're not showing that you value and support the work of Jehovah's organization.
Yeah, and therefore you're not going to survive Armageddon. Like it, you know.
Yes.
You actually do need to pay to get into paradise nowadays.
Yes, and the weird thing that they'll say about like, well, it's Jehovah's money and you're just giving it back. That never made sense to me. Like, well, if he doesn't need it, then why is it his? And why am I giving it to him? I actually do need it.
If it's all Jehovah's money, then get from the billionaires. Like, why doesn't he get from the billionaires who won't miss it? If it's
even
all
Jehovah doesn't want to tax billionaires. It's fucked up. But he like
Republican.
Like this, like Jehovah expects us to use our valuable things to give back to him. Like that is an expectation of your worship. Jehovah dignifies us with the opportunity to support the grand work. He guarantees that we will receive blessings when we give in support of the kingdom. Jehovah promises that the one who gives generously will prosper. And to cite myself, the clear implication is that if a member does not donate generously, they are being undignified, will not receive blessings, and will not prosper. Good job, Pat. Jake.
Article. Very,
I agree.
Very written.
Yeah. So anyway, like these are things that they show to children. They want people to like plan ahead, to plan to give the most money possible, and like these are the kinds of resolutions that they want people in the congregation to determine how much money they can give every single month. And I don't have an issue with this in and of itself. I just wish they wouldn't lie about it and pretend that they're doing something else.
Yeah, like you've shown in the intro, you've shown the papers that they have to, that Jehovah's Witnesses have to fill out, committing themselves to donating a certain amount of money to their religion. And those are given out in public in the middle of the meeting, so everybody has to fill them out in public. So everybody, nobody is. They're like, oh, it's anonymous and everything, but everybody's looking at you anyway. It's how anonymous is it when you're doing it in front of everybody? It's yeah.
Yes.
It's they're tithing while saying that people who tithe they're evil. It's just
Yeah, like
it's a huge contradiction.
the thing that they're making is like such a nitpicky distinction. Like, do they have mandatory tithing? Not in the sense of the leaders telling you have to give 10% of your income or whatever, but in the sense that you have to donate. Yeah, the publications are clear that you have to, and that if you're not, you're being stingy and you're not fully serving Jehovah. Like, that's just what the publications say. That's
The
not
fact that
complicated.
they don't put a percentage on it, that doesn't mean that they don't do it.
It doesn't mean they don't do it. They do. It is slightly more voluntary. And yeah, like it is anonymous in the sense that if you're not doing it, the elders don't know. But that doesn't matter because that's not the entire mechanism of how high control groups work. The real thing that they're doing is teaching you to police yourself. They are instilling doubt or not doubt, but self-doubt, like depreciation. Like you will feel bad about yourself and you will question whether or not you are receiving God's Holy Spirit if you're not doing these 5 billion things. And one of them is, am I giving enough? Am I really giving my valuable things back to Jehovah?
Yeah, and it's very important to point it out because I feel like that compounds into what Jehovah's Witnesses think of all the time and what Jehovah's Witnesses get anxious about all the time, because you can never give enough. You can never give enough to the organization, even monetarily. You can never give enough. So it's all around your indoctrination. Because sure, while elders won't know, you won't make it through Armageddon, and Armageddon is gonna come any day now. So are you gonna, if Armageddon came today, are you giving enough? That's in the back of your head. So you don't need the elders to police you when your brain is policing you.
Yeah. You become a self-policer. I wanted to shout out a couple really good comments. One from Christina: we're told to put others before ourselves in Jehovah's Witness, but these men who are in positions of power don't follow their own teaching that they pound the ground with. Yeah, like they're not giving money. Like, how much money is Sam Hurd putting in the contribution box? Probably nothing, right? Because he's getting, or like maybe if he has a little leftover allowance, he'll put it back. But isn't that just like transferring money from one bank account to the other? Like their existence at the branch is being supported by people in the field. And then they kind of don't need to donate their money to the organization because at a certain point, you've been in Bethel for so long that you don't really have any savings anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
I like this comment too from My Little Puma. It says, if an elderly Philistine gave her last dimes to a false god, it would be held up as an example of how false gods take from their followers. That's so good. Good shit, chat. Incognito sees, I see a difference between certain people getting rich versus group activities. But Incognito is, I think you're okay with me saying this, right? This is Russell. It is Incognito JW. And yes, there's a difference between people getting rich or not, but it's still unethical. Like they are benefiting in a way that members are not. The things that the members have to worry about: how am I going to get my next meal? Am I going to be able to afford rent? How am I going to be able to work 2 jobs and still get enough time in the ministry to be considered exemplary? None of these are considerations that anybody in a Bethel facility has to worry about because they live rent-free. They don't have to worry about their health insurance. All their meals are taken care of. Like, yeah, it's like at the top is a more like communal compound, but that is serviced from the bottom up. All the money flows upwards.
Yeah, and it's not just, I would think that it's not just about getting rich. To me, it's about look, I'm a big commie. So to me, it's all about your labor, right? If you do labor, then you deserve, all of the human rights and all of that stuff, right? Like you deserve everything. But if you refuse to do labor and then you rely on others to do labor for you so they can support you, then you're just being a leech. It doesn't matter how little or how much you're taking. You're just being a leech because you're relying on other people to do labor and then support your own existence. That, to me, that is the biggest issue. So it doesn't matter if they're rich or not. What matters is that they don't have financial woes that their followers have, because their followers have followed their religion, telling them, hey, don't make money, but also make enough money so you can support us. Even if you can't make, even if you don't make enough money, support us, because we deserve that money for no reason. That, to me, that's just a leech in society, and that those are the people that should not exist. They should not exist.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think, so this is another good thing too, is the lack of transparency, or maybe like a mirage of transparency. Like, yeah, they'll put the monthly expenses of the Kingdom Hall at the Kingdom Hall, and they'll read off the donations, but they're not telling their members when they're paying $1 million a day in court fines for defying, whatever court order. And they're not telling about out of court settlements that they're making to victims of child sex abuse. They're not transparent about that.
Local. That's only local. Whenever the organization, like, remember, your donations, at least before, used to go both to the congregation to one box and to the religion in the other box. That's how that's not how it's done nowadays, but that's still how it's looked at. It's one thing, your own finances, your local finances, and it's an entirely different thing, the organizational finances. You can have access to all of your local finances that you want. At the end of the day, you're paying to support the Kingdom Hall, that it's not yours. So, it doesn't matter. But you're never allowed to see the organizational stuff, like the other side of your donations, which is at least equally as important to you.
Totally. I'm pulling up our next little morning worship video. Let me share my screen here. We're having like good conversations, I feel.
Yeah, I know. You should invite me more often.
I know, right? Okay, so this is one that drove me crazy. I was thinking about doing a video rebuttal to, oh shit. What the hell just happened? JW.org crashed. Did that show up on screen? I pulled up the video. We
crashed it. We have brought so much traffic to JW.org that we crashed it.
But that couldn't possibly be the case.
3 people that went.
This is one of the most popular
3 people
websites
that went.
in
They're
the
like,
world.
"Oh, Jake's talking too much. I want to listen to the video."
I know. Well, it's so funny. Like, whenever I let the videos play, people are like, "Oh my god, it's so boring," and then I'll pause and be like, "You're talking too much." I say people. It's like 3 people in the comments that bother me. But
just 3 people.
That's enough to keep me up at night, tossing and turning.
How dare the Watchtower say, or their website crash when all of my donations go to that fucking website?
Wow, good point. Christina says that website should not be allowed to crash because that's where all her donations go.
Oh no.
Now let us consider the question, how does Jehovah care for those who are humble?
Immediately a dichotomy of, if you're not being humble, Jehovah is not going to care for you. So that's another thing you got to work on, by the way. Are you being humble? If not, Jehovah's not caring for you.
Now, humility is a quality that is part of our figurative heart. And just like other qualities of the heart, like kindness, mildness, patience.
Just a little editor's tip for anybody who wants to make funny videos. When he said figurative heart, you have the F sound right before the heart. You can make him sound like he's saying fart so easily. Just wanted to give a pro tip.
Humility is a quality that we cannot see. Even so, have you ever said about a brother or sister in your congregation or here at Bethel, that brother or that sister is so humble? Now, what made you say that? Did you see a little cloud filled with humility hovering above the brother or sister? No, but you must have seen something that made you conclude that a brother or sister is humble. So
this is so, I hate this so much. It's so stupid. Like, what is he saying? Yeah, qualities. Like, of course qualities are visible. Like, not in the sense that we have a little quality.
You have a cloud? You have a cloud and that's how you can see qualities, Jake? Is that what you're saying?
I feel like he's trying to say, like, qualities aren't cells you can see under a microscope. But it's like, no, but like qualities are things that are like visibly demonstrated. Like, yes, I understand they're kind of intangible, but nobody's confused about the idea of how you can see somebody being humble. Like, it's not something that needs explained. And I think that this is something that they do to make these things sound deeper than they really are. So they'll take something that you already understand because it's obvious, and then they'll break it down so you feel like, you know what, I'm pretty smart because I kind of knew that already. But yeah. what drove me crazy about this talk and what I wanted to do, why I wanted to do a video about it is because I think it's pretty clear that their definition of humility is not humility, but subservience. So let's see what he says here.
So what was that something? Now, to answer, think of this comparison. Imagine you walk into a store and you see a display of boxes with chocolate. The boxes look nice, but you wonder, what's the quality of the chocolates? Then a store clerk gives you a chocolate as a sample. You taste it. That's good. Now,
where is he going? With this? Where is he going with this? It's the most insane roundabout to make the most obvious point ever. But I just wanted to hear him say, "That's good" again.
A sample. You taste it. That's good. Now you know what is in the box. So what's the lesson of this little story? Well, just like
that wasn't a story.
A sample chocolate reveals the quality of the chocolate in the box. So seeing an act of humility reveals the depth of humility in someone's heart.
Don't let this guy cook again. Don't let this guy cook again.
That sucked.
What was that? Jesus Christ.
Why can't these guys be normal about food? Why can't they be normal about Food Illustrated? That was so confusing. He was just trying to describe, like, oh, just like you can take a free sample to get a sense of what the taste is, you get a sample of people's personalities. He's like, imagine you are walking into a chocolate shop owned by Augustus Gloop, and the shop owner gives you a little bit of chocolate. And you assume that's very good chocolate. That has never happened
to me, by the way. Like, that has never happened to me, where I'm looking at boxes of nice boxes of chocolates, and then in the store they just have the chocolate, like the same chocolate, and they're giving samples. Like what is this, Costco? I don't understand.
I get all my box chocolates from Costco. You can get like a crate, like a Valentine's shipping crate of chocolates.
Yeah, you just bought 10 years ago. You just bought stock chocolates of Valentine's Day, and there you go. Every Valentine's Day, you just go to the closet and take one out, and you're like, Christina, I got you chocolates.
Thank you. I've never attempted that live, but I felt confidence. I felt that same kind of confidence that it takes to give a talk like this. Really, like, I'm coming in with a fire example about chocolates. The friends are going to go wild about this.
After all, if we don't prove by words or by actions our humility, no one will know that we have it.
This is okay. So the real point I wanted to make, I got caught up doing his funny voice, but the real thing I wanted to point is, like, he starts off a talk by making up a problem, which is, how can you know if someone's humble? When really that's not a problem that anybody has, because I feel like humility is one of those qualities that if you have to say and be actively demonstrating that you have it, you don't have it, because it is something
it's like when you say, I'm a very good man, like it's just, you're not.
Yeah, like
that's not the shit you have to say.
Yeah, exactly.
It's self-evident.
And like, if you are trying to demonstrate your humility, you aren't doing it. It's like if you're doing it's like kind of donating a bunch of money and getting a library named after you or something. It's like, well, you weren't really doing it for philanthropic reasons. You wanted to get a library named after you. And it's like, no, you have to give out your humility chocolate so that everyone knows how good and tasty your humility is. It's just nonsense. But like, they do pride themselves on their humility, which I think is maybe an oxymoron. They like to talk about how humble Jehovah's Witnesses are, and they don't want to stop doing that. So they're like, no, this is a thing we need to do and be thinking about. and constantly examining others doing. And like I also think it plays into like you should always be micromanaging people and seeing if they're being humble.
Yeah, you have to taste their chocolate, their humbleness chocolate.
It sounds dirty, but it's just what he said. You have to taste their chocolate.
Look at around, baby.
So when do we have opportunities to give out samples, so to speak, of our humility?
This is my kind of JW
Now, the
talk.
Watchtower article that is the source of today's comments.
Source stuff I wrote a couple years ago. That's what I did earlier. I was like, I have a great article, and I pulled up my website that I have. That's what this guy's doing. Except my website is also just my website is also just quotes from Watchtower publications. He should have cited JW Facts. It probably has this on there.
Mentions 3 situations that may test the depth and genuineness of our humility. The 3 situations are when we receive counsel, when others receive privileges of service, or when we face new circumstances. Now, today's comments focus on the 3rd situation. They focus on the changes of assignments that have been received by a good number of traveling overseers and their wives, battleites, brothers and sisters in other forms of full-time service, as well as by coordinators of the body of elders.
He had me at by coordinators. Okay, so the thing that he's actually talking about is being humble about a change in assignment. And what that means is the leadership can just reassign you to do something else. So like all of these guys who are giving talks could just be reassigned out at any moment. Like they could be kicked out of Bethel. Now, obviously you can be kicked out if you sin or something, but sometimes there are just cutbacks and they'll just be like, we don't want to feed all these people. We can't afford it anymore. So we're just sending you all home. Or when they switch to more digital over physical publishing, they don't need as many people in the printery anymore. So they get reassigned out of Bethel. And for people who wrap up their entire identity in being a Bethelite, that's incredibly hard because you work all your life to get to Bethel. You have the sacred privilege of service, and then it's taken away from you. And that's what he's talking about. And this is where we get into humility, not meaning humility. It means subservience and just doing what we tell you and not being a back talker about it.
Yeah.
You've got a funny microphone buzz going on again, too, by the way.
Oh, I'll just mute it until I talk.
Little buzzy buzz. Maybe it's just all the buzz for how good this stream is. I'm hearing some good buzz. Big long pause while I play again.
Now, why can we say that the body of elders? Now, why can we say that these brothers and sisters offered a beautiful sample of their humility by accepting their changes of assignment? To answer, note this quote from the Watchtower comments. Such adjustments were not easy for these brothers and sisters to make. Obviously, they felt attached to their former assignments, in many cases, one that they had cherished for years. Some went through a grieving process as they adjusted to their new circumstances.
Like, it's worth noting that people who go to Bethel do it because they think it's like what Jehovah wants them to do, because you're constantly told, reach out for higher privileges of service, like do more for Jehovah, do more for Jehovah, do more for Jehovah. And that's like just about as much as you can do is be a Bethelite. So people do all this. They think I'm doing everything Jehovah wants me to do. And then arbitrarily, for reasons completely beyond their control, they're kicked out and probably now have to get a job after maybe years between like secular work on their resume, or maybe none at all if they came to Bethel when they were 19 and pioneered right out of high school. So it would be like a grieving process. And that is not supposed to make you think that maybe this is all just arbitrary. It's supposed to make you think, no, this is Jehovah testing my humility. I hate it.
Yeah, and where's humility in this process? Like, what about this? What about you getting kicked out of your assignment? What about that shows humility? It's you're right. Like it's just subservience, but subservience isn't humility. Like you're not being proud because you liked your previous assignment. Like you're not being proud because you liked how you used to work for the religion. Like
Yeah.
that's not a thing. That's not a thing. But he's trying to make it a thing just so he can try to pass subservience for humility.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So a couple of good comments from this. Forever a Shockaholic, which is a perfect username for this talk in particular. I don't know if that's coincidence or not. Humility also keeps the members from looking too far into some of the doctrine. Not humble if you think you're more wise than the governing body. Like, exactly. You think you're smarter than this guy? This guy helps the governing body. I mean, that chocolate thing's the smartest thing I ever heard. You're not smarter than that guy. But that's absolutely
Taste
right.
everyone's chocolate.
Thinking that the governing body is wrong about something is you not being humble, not you being a critical thinker. And then, yeah, questioning things yourself is pride to a Jehovah's Witness. So, yes, critical thinking is prideful, subservience is humility, down is up, black is white. This is the future liberals want.
A grieving process. The Watchtower does not often use that expression, but in the case of those who were asked to give up an assignment,
I want to
that
be
they
clear so you don't
dearly-
think I'm being like your dad, that I was being ironic with my last comment, because that is very frustrating. I'm so annoyed this morning. My dad was watching a televangelist who was just making fun of women and feminism. Frustrating in a meeting. Yeah. And like, there's no difference really between what they're saying in these talks versus what televangelists are saying. It's out of the stage setup they have and the fact that they don't put a phone number on the screen for you to call and donate. They put a link on the screen for you to go to jw.org and donate via the donation link.
jw.org/donate. They can't
That's
make
right.
it easier.
They make it really easy. They don't even need a phone number on the screen.
Yes.
Out here rewriting the dictionary, says Mariah.
But to
love
be fair,
is a proper-
I've never seen a televangelist ask for donations at a refugee camp. Like that, I've never seen that.
That's
I've
true.
never seen that. So you know, which one's better? If which one's better? I don't know.
It's pretty bad. It's really brazen that they did that. Brazen conduct, even.
expression
Definitely.
to use. Though facing new circumstances was difficult, these brothers and sisters who used to serve at battle or in the traveling work
I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like you, Sam I am.
accepted the change with humility. Now, how did Jehovah help them? Well, we find an answer at Isaiah 57, verse 15.
Yeah,
Ever in the high and holy place, but
Oh,
also
wait. Instinctively, I skipped past the scriptures. I actually thought this was
Of
really
course.
interesting, how he uses this.
that's a surprising thought to it. Jehovah says,
It is surprising.
I reside in the high and holy place, but also with those crushed and lowly in spirit. Now, let's pause here for a moment.
No.
One Bible reference work says that the verb reside or dwell mentioned in the beginning of the sentence is implied in the second part of the sentence. So we could read the sentence as follows. I reside in the high and holy place, but I also reside with those crushed and lowly in spirit.
Again, explaining something that's just very obvious from the verse that didn't need explained at all.
This is why you need spiritual food, because how else could you have possibly gotten the very obvious meaning to the verse?
Like,
How
how
else?
What was the other way of interpreting what he read? I thought I was going
Was
crazy.
he confused? I don't understand. Was he with what part did he think people may get confused with? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. What part was he like, oh, I have to explain it this way because this part people are gonna find confusing. Like, I gotta explain it to people.
Yeah. Explain the things that don't explain. Well, it's also interesting when he's like, my source is this Watchtower, and he puts that on the screen. But when he's citing whatever this reference work is, he just says one reference work, no source cited at all. They will just don't look it up. We did the research for you. Don't worry.
Now, think about this statement made by Jehovah. Is it not amazing and heartwarming Note the combination of qualities that he expresses. He is high and holy, but also nearby and humble. He is mighty and powerful, but also attentive and tender in his feelings with lowly ones.
So my takeaway from this was that it was interesting that they're kind of acknowledging Bethel as a high and holy place. Like that's kind of what he's
Bethel
saying
is the house of God. That's the
Yeah.
name, Jake. What are you talking about?
That's
Great pause,
true.
face, by the way.
But it's also that is a good pause face. I like, I think if you were to ask witnesses, like if people in Bethel are more spiritual, they'd probably say no, like spiritual. They just have a greater privilege of service. It's a privilege, like they're in a yes, like Bethel itself is a holy place, but I don't know. It seems like he's saying that, like, yeah, you got demoted. You were in a high and holy place, and now you're in one of these lowly congregations. But don't worry, Jehovah's still with you. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But that's what it sounded like to me.
No, this is a supremacist religion, and that's what supremacist organizations do. So that's why supremacist organizations always self collapse, because they always have a supremacy inside of the group, and since they believe in the supremacist idea, they also believe that there's a supremacy in the group, and then inside that group there's a supremacy inside that group. Like it starts to become more and more and more insular until it just implodes. So yeah, you're totally right. The more you go up in the spiritual ladder, the more spiritual you would assume that you are, the closer you are to God, like for instance. And there he's saying it, he's acknowledging the opposite. When you are not in Bethel, you're further away from God, so you're gonna have to grieve about it. That's what he's saying.
Local brother so and so, who's the secretary of the congregation, is not on jw.org given to talk about this for 8 million members. Like, no, that's something you only get when you're in the high and holy place. Exactly. We got a pretty good suggestion, which honestly is not a bad idea for a future collab. Dramatic reading of Green Eggs and Ham and Lloyd Evans' voice, but one character is voiced by Wally doing Stephen Latt. It's not a terrible idea. This I just wanted to say is the face I make when I get a free sample of chocolate.
Oh yes, this is me at Costco.
Now also note this: Jehovah did not say, "I see those who are lowly." He did not say, "I hear those who are lowly," but he said, "I reside with those who are lowly."
Have I not talked about this a million times? It's the lazy man's bullshit turnaround triple flip trick. I know about this shit. If you don't know what to say to sound profound and to talk, you look at a verse and you say, now look at this. It doesn't say that Jehovah said he might do something, or that he'd get around to it. It said that he would do it. Yeah. And so he does this fucking thing that they do, where they're like, it doesn't say Jehovah's like sort of close. It says he resides with. It's like, I know, I just read it. I know what it doesn't say.
Such a Jehovah's Witness trick, like to try to sound profound. You have nothing to add. Say what it doesn't say about literally anything. Say what it doesn't say, and then be like, it could say something worse, but it says something better.
Yes.
Isn't that profound?
Jesus. Right. Isn't it amazing what the Bible doesn't say? And yes, Skeptics and Scoundrels based, as always, a God which prioritizes the glorification of his name above all other concerns, even over the safety of the children in his organization, is not humble. And this is something that I've wanted to make a video for a while. It's just like, Jehovah sucks. Like, Jehovah sucks. I'm not the first person to make the abusive partner analogy, but that's literally what it is. It is somebody who's like, the most important thing is me and my name and my reputation, and fuck everybody else on the way towards me proving my disgruntled coworker wrong.
Yeah, he's a narcissistic sociopath. Like he is. That's how he acts.
So there is some conflict as to what this guy's like accent is. I wondered if he was Polish. He says a few words that remind me a lot of my Polish great-grandparents. My mom is Polish and has a lot of Polish family, and a lot of his accents remind me of that, but I'm hearing some Dutch, I'm hearing some German. I don't know. He's got a lot of things going on, this guy.
He's foreign.
He's for it. He could just be, a bank teller in a future Taken sequel. Doesn't really matter what kind of Europe he's from. It's just not America.
Yeah,
Now,
Eastern
to
European.
understand this verse better,
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut that off.
let us consider a few questions. First, what is the meaning
Okay, no
of
need to yell.
reside? Well, one Bible dictionary defines the Hebrew word translated reside as settle down. Now, what comes to your mind when you hear the expression
Sorry.
settle down? Does the word make you think of
Settle
a
down.
visitor who rushes in and leaves quickly? No. Instead, it makes us think of a visitor
Wow.
who settles.
Again, another thing that
Literally.
doesn't need explained.
No, settle down. Now, does it remind you of this other thing that has nothing to do with it? Of course it doesn't. It's settled down. Jesus Christ.
I wanted to. Oh, I was just going. I want to do this with like Old Testament Mosaic law stuff, where it's like, now Jehovah doesn't say that he's going to put adulteresses in prison. Doesn't say that he's going to give him a slap on the wrist. No, it says they'll be stoned to death. So what does that teach us about Jehovah? That he hates women and wants them murdered with rocks in the face until they bleed because their skull crushes in. Like, you could do this the other way, but they only do it where God seems kind of nice.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy.
In an easy chair, leans
Easy
back,
chair.
and takes his time to stay with us.
The easiest
In
chair in all
Jehovah's
of
case, he
Deutschland.
resides or settles down for a visit with us by means of his Holy Spirit.
He's a fluffer.
Another question. What does Jehovah do when he resides with us? Now, note the last
I know
part.
what he doesn't do. He doesn't stop kids from dying of starvation every day. He doesn't stop sexual assault from happening. He doesn't stop murder and violence.
They're all
so he's
gonna
not
be revived in Armageddon, Jake, unless
No.
they had a thought about someone's private. It's fine.
So he's like, that's
Fine.
stuff I'm doing later. What I do now when I reside is I just kind of like dole out Holy Spirit nodules to my servants who got kicked out of my holy house because of monetary cutbacks.
Of the verse. There you see another word that is mentioned 2 times. We read, to revive the spirit of the lowly and to revive the heart of those being crushed. Now, to revive means to raise from discouragement and depression. Thus, in this precious scripture, Jehovah promises that he will take his time to be with his humble servants who are discouraged or even crushed.
You mean take his time? He's God. He exists outside of. He created the concept of time. What are you even saying?
Time, Jake. He's take his time. Like
Taking
he's
his
in his
time.
easy chair. Come on. He just explained it. See why he has to explain things?
It's such.
He just said it.
fucking
He's like
nonsense.
he's in an easy chair.
Oh, like this stuff is so. It's so boring. I had another point I was going to make, but I forgot it. I lost my comment.
And why does Jehovah reside with us when we are discouraged?
Because he has nothing
To
better
help
to do.
us to regain the inner peace and the inner strength that we need to deal with challenging circumstances and to continue serving Jehovah with joy.
He just like puts gas in the tank. He just kind of like doles out gas in the tank so you can continue doing unpaid labor for a high control religion. That's like what Holy Spirit is. It's like, oh, you're running on E, he'll fill you up halfway so you can finish this building project and then back to being depressed for you.
He's so repetitive as well.
Yeah. This is all about humility, remember?
Now, that is the way in which Jehovah cares for all his humble servants, and that is also the way in which Jehovah helped our brothers and sisters who humbly accepted a change of assignment. Jehovah gently helped them to let their feelings of sadness fade away and to embrace the joys that were waiting in their new assignment.
Great. Oh, sorry. I muted Danny for a second. Okay, your buzzy's gone. Okay. So that is interesting, this whole business. I don't think we really need to watch anymore, but That's Hermanus Van Selm, who I forgot to call his real name Herm Anus. I think we've established canonically that's how it's pronounced. I wanted to shout out Rachel. I work with an OR nurse named Rachel, by the way. What are the chances? I'm an OR nurse in Pomo. I think in a lot of people's minds, nursing is more of a vocation rather than an academic subject, so it's socially acceptable for Jehovah's Witnesses to study. I think you're totally right. That is so apt. I think you're totally right about that. It's not, you're not like, but I don't know. I mean, you're taking psychology and stuff. You're learning about anatomy, which is going to intersect with evolution. But I guess it's just.
I think Jake, he did it again. I can't believe it. That is hilarious. He has this clicky thing. Is that the thing? Did you do it again?
Yes, I did. I thought I would be good and it wouldn't happen, but it did.
You did it. You did it before the stream, and you were like, "Oh, good thing it's out of the way." Nope, not really.
I was wrong. I was wrong about that. Okay, so we've got. By the way, I want to hear sound off in chat. Which of these? Let's see. Examiner my disciplines from Jehovah. Oh, wait. I know what we wanted to watch. It was this. Sorry, chat. Still sound off about unrelated things, but I forgot. This is one we thought would probably be juicy to watch in terms of maximum cringe.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Somebody is sabotaging my microphone. Honestly, yeah, like it starts to really drift away from the concept of humility at all and just goes to be obedient and serve Jehovah because he's got everything worked out, and just don't worry about it. He's with you. Just keep doing the stuff we're telling you to do.
That's the favorite thing Jehovah's Witnesses do. It just tell other Jehovah's Witnesses not to think about things, just to do, just to obey, and not think about things because everything is thought out already by some higher being or something else. So you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, David has a question that I have wondered about too. I wonder if they have an internal guide on using linguistic tools to warp meanings and realities, or if they're just winging it and copying each other. So I think I've wondered about this because their word whiskers and weasel words that they use. See Self-Aware NPC's video on weasel words, by the way. It's really, really good. They use things like evidently, apparently, it is reasonable to assume. They'll caveat a lot of their statements by making or giving them plausible deniability in the hindsight if it turns out they're wrong. So they like all of their predictions about the Great Tribulation are so specific. But when you break down the language, it's all like, it may be that the United Nations will ban all religions, and then it might be the case. But that's not how it's portrayed. Like, it's very clear to the members' eyes, but they're always giving themselves plausible deniability. I don't know if it's because they have some kind of internal document, like try and do this kind of thing, or if it's just they are naturally picking up on this. Do you have any thoughts on that, Danny?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think they have to have this plausible deniability thing when they know that they're interpreting prophecy, and they don't want to sound like like they know that there's a chance that they're wrong. They have to have a plausible deniability, and I think that may be a part of it. However, I do think that all of those weasel words that you use in the as a Jehovah's Witness, I don't think those are the speakers. I use those weasel words. That's how I explain my own beliefs. I use the same weasel words, the same kind of logical fallacies. That's how you explain your beliefs. So you believe in this stuff. You don't need to train anybody to get you to believe in this stuff, because that's how you believe in this stuff to begin with. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, a lot of it is just learned behavior, and if you are in the position of like being a writer for the writing committee, you probably are suddenly much more aware of the fact that the stuff you're writing is going to be read by a bunch of people, and you might be wrong, so you're going to more be naturally inclined to couch your statements. But yeah, that would be really interesting. I mean, they must have some kind of style guide. Like, even when I wrote video game reviews, freelance for a while, like different sites would have style guides that they would send me, like, this is our site voice, and they must have something like that for
Yeah, they have a Jehovah's Witness voice guidelines that they have to follow, like 1,000%, like that I 1,000% believe in, because
I
that
would
is
love
just
getting that.
making document. Yeah, that is just making documents for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is what Bethel loves to do. So of course they would have those guidelines, but yeah, I think that, I'm telling you, there's a little bit about, I don't think, honestly, they are so robotic and everything that a lot of people have proven that you don't need the guidelines to make an article that really sounds a lot like a Jehovah's Witness article. It's really not that hard. But yeah, I'm pretty sure all of those are lined up somewhere in some document in Bethel.
They're also very married to just a style of print media that existed when the organization was founded. Like, all of Russell's stuff just kind of sounds like of the voice of newsletters and stuff in that era. We were watching Citizen Kane last night, and it starts with this old-timey newsreel about Charles Foster Kane, and like all of the language and the little phrases they use sounds like it could be in an old version of the Watchtower, because it's just kind of how people wrote. And I feel like they've hung on to that much longer than other people have. And so some of it's just like vestiges of their writing, like it's going to be published in a religious newspaper.
Yeah, I honestly, look, I've been working on this video called Jehovah's Witnesses, the organization frozen in time, or the religion frozen in time, or something.
Ooh,
like that,
nice.
where I make that argument that the Jehovah's Witnesses are pretty much just frozen in time. Everything that the Jehovah's Witnesses do and believe in, and the way that they dress and all of that stuff, they're just remnants from when they came up with those guidelines, or when they came up with that doctrine, and then they never moved past it. Like, the world moved past it, but it never did. And yeah, the style of delivering the information, even the going door to door, all of that is just remnants from when it used to work out. It doesn't work out anymore, but they still do it.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, let's round it out. I know we've been going for 90 minutes, and I usually keep these around 90 minutes, but whatever. Are you good to go, Channy? Or
yeah, we can
okay,
we can do it.
Cool.
I have look, my wife is not around, so I literally have nothing to do besides this today. So I know it's very sad, but I'm trying to make it sound so I'm available still to do fun stuff. Not that.
Appreciate your sacrifice. My wife is doing homework, but she is around.
The only thing that I do need is I bought some chicken, and like my plans for today, besides doing this, is just eat that chicken over the sink.
Eat that chicken.
So that's my plan, but that can wait.
Yeah,
I'm not that hungry yet.
That is what I would do. Like, times when Christina's been out of town, it's just like, why am I gonna make a whole plate when I could just gobble this over the sink and be done with it immediately? It's amazing how like functional you get when you're not bothering to like try and be like impressing anybody even a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Us men, we require very little to be happy. I feel.
You know, for some reason, I'm reminded of a tangent I wanted to go on 10 minutes earlier. I'll see if I can find a way to weasel it in to this. Leonard Myers, who My Little Pimo pointed out, really does look like a Thumb Wars character. If you remember those old videos where they superimpose people's faces on thumbs, he does kind of look like that. And I also remember him saying in a video I did a long time ago, I found a funny isolated moment of him saying, "Should I be scared that my young children will be eaten by snakes?" And that's what I know this guy from.
He does look like a thumb. He looks a little bit like a thumb.
Mention our dealing,
and I think he looks kind of like a snake. Thumb snake. Okay. My next horror short story.
If a cop was a snake.
Our text comments mention our dealings with unbelieving family members and the need for us to put our loyalty to Jehovah ahead of our love for them.
Like the
now, that raises some questions. Why might loyalty to Jehovah over love for family be an issue? Is there a Bible character who set an example?
You know, one last note on humility that I was going to start my now definitely non-existent video on that humility talk is like, I wouldn't consider myself like, I don't think humility is a quality that you can necessarily even judge for yourself, because if I think about what I do, I have a YouTube channel, which means some part of me is like, the world needs to hear my opinions. And I don't think that is humble, but I think that there are other aspects of life that where I maybe am, but it's just something that I tend to think that's for other people to judge whether or not somebody is humble. If you are like consciously trying to virtue signal your humbleness, then it's not. It's being performative.
Yeah, it's like, listen, I'm very high, so I'm just gonna give this example, right? It's like how I love to joke around about me having a small dick, right? That's a very funny joke. It's a very
funny.
No, it's that humbleness, or am I kind of like pointing the opposite way? Am I doing it because I'm actually very comfortable, and that I'm just trying to,
and you want people
I want people to notice, and I want people to want, like, why am I doing it? I can't be like, does that make me humble? I don't think so. It was a very relevant example, I think.
No, I deflect with self-depreciating humor a lot, and I don't think it's humility. It's like you're trying to preempt criticism from other people. Like, no, I'm going to make fun of myself first.
Yeah.
So I will make fun of my tiny little peen before anyone else can.
Because if you make fun of yourself, then people are appreciative of you, and people are like, oh no, don't say that a thing about yourself, and you're like, oh thank God I avoided it. Like, nobody called me out on it. Like, people told me that I didn't have to worry about it. So yeah, it's self-depreciate. What's the word, Jake? I'm too Mexican to say this.
I don't know what word you're trying to say.
Words, self-deprecating jokes.
I was like, did you forget the word
jokes are not humble.
For penis? That one I remember at all times. Speaking of not being humble, please consider sharing a super chat just for fun, just to see if the button works. Because it worked once earlier, but we're trying to determine, technicians behind the scenes are trying to determine.
Doesn't work though. I don't know. Somebody should check that, because I have no way of checking.
And we always have the 144,000 challenge, which is if somebody donates $144,000, I won't ask for super chats ever again. And we don't know if a super chat can go that high, so it would be cool just to see if it works.
You could be breaking both a world record and a streamer.
Yeah, and I mean, I've already broken the record for world's smallest dick. So can I also get the world record for world's biggest live stream donation?
I got
let's restart this.
Yes.
I don't know what he said, but I did notice that he said Bible character, which even as a witness bothered me, because I'm like, but if we think they're real people, then we shouldn't call them characters. Like, are we going to, in the new system, when we're talking about, modern witnesses as if it's the Bible, are going to be like, one of my favorite Bible characters was Stephen Lett, one of my favorite witness characters. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Stephen Lett is definitely a Jehovah's Witness character. I don't know.
He is a Jehovah's Witness character. It's just weird how they straddle this line between, it's like, these are stories, but also it's literal history.
Our text comments mention our dealings with unbelieving family members and the need for us to put our loyalty to Jehovah ahead of our love for them. Now that raises some questions.
Ahead of our love for them.
Why might loyalty...
Within 5 seconds, they give apostates a damning quote that we can just send around to, like, anytime they try their bullshit in the media to be like, we don't shun people and we don't divide families. Literally the first thing out of Thumb Wars' mouth is, our love to Jehovah is more important than our love to family.
That's why I like to keep tabs on these morning worship talks, because they usually say these things out loud, and you don't usually, like, more out loud than even in conventions and stuff. Like they would just start with it, like, right on. Like, they can be very interesting, because you can truly find examples of the doctrine that it's so prevalent in the Jehovah's Witness religion.
And they think seemingly correctly that just nobody, like, no journalist is going to go down the rabbit hole and watch these videos. And a lot of times they're right.
Like, nobody does.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing this.
To their credit. A lot of times
we're not journalists. We're just idiots with tiny dicks.
I don't know.
We're nothing.
This stream has had, as far as I'm concerned, the most journalistic integrity of any stream in history. Another world
That is true.
record in our bank.
That is true.
To Jehovah over love for family be an issue? Is there a Bible character who set an example for us in putting
Yeah,
loyalty
see,
to
you wouldn't
Jehovah
say
ahead
that.
of love for family? And how can we display loyalty to Jehovah while still showing love to our unbelieving family members? Our first question, why at times is loyalty to Jehovah over love for family an issue? Well, Jesus said it would be. Please turn with me to Matthew chapter 10.
Literally because Jesus said so. Always a good start.
Bring peace to the earth.
Yeah, shut up.
Bring peace. Jesus meant that some of his listeners needed to think of the consequences of becoming his follower. Holding faithfully to his teachings would be challenging if family members would reject the truth. And perhaps some of us have experienced that. When we became Jehovah's Witnesses, we were opposed by our
Do
family.
you see how he just effortlessly went from people accepting the teachings of Jesus to the truth, which is their word for Jehovah's Witnesses?
Have experienced challenging if family members would reject the truth.
Hang on.
To his teachings would be challenging if family members would reject the truth.
Yeah,
And perhaps
they do this all the time, where they just will be talking about a Bible account and then just start inserting Jehovah's Witness words, so it seems like it applies more than it really does.
Yeah, it's a false equivalence, because that's not what the Bible is saying. Like, the Bible doesn't tell you, hey, shun anybody who rejects the truth. That is literally nowhere in the Bible. You will not find that in the Bible. That is not what the Bible says. So every time that they say it, they have to find a Bible verse that kind of sort of says something like that. It like kind of says something like, oh, oppose evilness, and they're like, oh, there you go. See, this talks about apostates. This is why you shouldn't go to JW Facts. That's the only way that they can back up their own beliefs with just false equivalences.
Oof, condolences to SP, but shout out to Simply Lore. That works too. Thank you so much.
some of us have experienced that.
€44.
When we became Jehovah's Witnesses, we were opposed by our family. Perhaps we're still being opposed. Or they may have opposed our decisions to set and achieve spiritual goals, such as pioneering or coming to Bethel. This was true of one member of our Bethel family. When this brother accepted the truth.
So for context, what witnesses do is they'll be like, no, we're the ones dealing with family opposition because people are mean to us when we join Jehovah's Witnesses, which is just amazing. But like, you see this, if you are insane like me and look at like conspiracy theory boards and stuff for QAnon people or like InfoWars people, the fact that their families start, calling them out on their behavior is just proof of the truth of it. Like, see, like normal people just can't handle this. This is the consequence of knowing the truth that, I don't know, Tom Hanks drinks children's blood for fun.
Yeah, once you believe that there's this truth that nobody that is too big for people to believe. Like, that's how you get people to believe in a lie, but by telling them, oh, this lie is not a lie. What happens is that if you told it to normal people, they would just tell you that it's ridiculous because that's how real it is. Like that's it. That's the basis of Jehovah's Witnesses being like, oh, we're so persecuted. Yeah, you're persecuted because people are like, hey, maybe don't shield child abusers. Maybe release that database so we can persecute them and they can't keep going after children anymore. Maybe do that. And they're like, oh, persecution. Like, obviously, it's a very like self-defeating argument, I feel, and it's just you can see the logical fallacies once you wake up, but once you are in the Jehovah's Witnesses, all that you care is that it kind of makes sense. So this will make sense to Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yep, absolutely. And so there's another comment. Yeah, your family was opposed to you quitting your job to swear a vow of poverty to move into a cult compound. Shocked Pikachu face. Yeah, one of the great failures of my YouTube life, Danny, has been nobody watched my video about The Last of Us and the cult in that show, which is so good, and nobody watched it, even though it's great. And sometimes even my own friends didn't watch it. And we don't have to talk about that. And I consider that opposition, by the way, but that's not important. But one thing I point out in that, I'm just like being really mean to Danny because I think
it's why I did not watch it.
I actually forgot.
I'm gonna watch The Last of Us, so I understand this. And I still have The Last of Us. Actually, it's over here. I still have The Last of Us in like a thumb drive over here to watch it, and then I'm just not gonna watch it. So I'm just not gonna watch your video. You know, but I want to watch it if that helps.
Part of the problem. Look at all these people who are part of the problem. No, okay. The only reason why I brought that up was because one of the things that was fun to analyze in it, because I look at this cult that exists in The Last of Us and just try and see like what we can learn about cults from that, because it has a lot of the staples of it. And one of the things is acknowledging the perception that it is a cult. Like in the episode, Ellie's like, so you're a cult leader? And he's like, well, you know, religion, so you kind of got me there. And I showed some like clips of this Nexium video that was made by what's her name, the woman who's Keith Raniere's right hand person. So, like basic, what is it?
Allison Mack?
No, not her. It's the like.
Oh, then I don't know. That's the only person I know.
No, but it's no. That was a good guess. But she's basically saying like, you know, cult is just a word that people use to demean a new, different group, you know, like cults do this, and that's what this is. It's like priming people to be like, yeah, we're going to experience opposition because they just don't get how right we are about everything. Jesus told us this would happen. Sorry, that was
or
really
they're
long
evil.
tangent. I can't believe people say I talk too much during the videos. It's an insane allegation. I don't believe it.
Truth, as a young person, he stated that his father was very disappointed in him. His father was confused. Since prior to studying the Bible, this brother's worldly pursuits were turning out well. And then when our brother was invited to Bethel, he stated that his father was really puzzled and concerned. He felt that his son was not making right choices in life. The brother wrote this: "My dad had always been a loving and responsible father. We lacked nothing and had his active support. Now I felt like I was letting him down, as if I was turning my back on him and not showing him the appreciation that a father deserves. This was hard for me." The brother's feelings were real.
I mean, just fucking copy and paste this into how I feel about my dad. You know, that was one of the main reasons that kept me in. I didn't want to disappoint my dad. It's the same thing. They just are like, it's okay when we do it. They did it to us.
Yeah,
the Trump defense.
A lot of you hear this when they're like, oh, you know, people say we shun people, but they shun us when they realize that we are Jehovah's Witnesses. So yeah, two wrongs don't make a right, man. Like that doesn't prove anything. That just, if you're against it, then you should be against it when you do it. What are you talking about?
See, this is the thing people forget is for, you know, compare me to this guy talking with the very funny face he has right now, and I'm talking pretty fast. By the way, T&K quoting Kung Pao is an unexpected delight. Always happy to meet people who have seen that movie.
And it's true, we don't want to hurt our family. It's normal to love our unbelieving family members.
Oh, it's normal to love them.
So why the issue? Because we've decided and proved by our dedication that we're going to put our loyalty to Jehovah ahead of our love for family. And when some family members realize that, they may feel that we're rejecting them. And that can create...
What kind of crazy thing would make them think that, I wonder? No.
When they realize that you are willing to put your cult ahead of your family, they kind of get the wrong idea. Can you believe that, Jake? They get the wrong idea from it.
My dad was all worried about
love them any less or something. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like, Dad, it's not like I don't love you anymore. It's just that I now love my new religion more than you. Why can't you accept that that's fine and normal and healthy and nothing weird is happening to me?
Yeah, like I am far more loyal to my religion than to my love to you. That's it. That's a healthy thing. It's a healthy thing for people to have. Jesus.
Bad. So bad.
A division
it's so
like that
outright
caused
by... It's what?
They're so outright about it. Like they're just saying it outright, which I love.
I literally just want to send this to my parents, just like, hey, you should watch this video. It really captures how I feel about things.
A sword, as Jesus stated here in Matthew chapter 10.
Meaning the broadcast, not this stream.
Is there a Bible character who set an example of loyalty to Jehovah over love for family?
No. Nope.
Well, how about this individual on our monitors?
Oh.
Jonathan, the son of King
It's
Saul.
convenient how they'll ask questions that they immediately have an answer to. Isn't that great? We're like, is there anyone who did this? Yes. Just start with that. Start with there was a guy who did this.
And sort of did it, because it's not like it's not like he actually did it. Like it's not like he did it in the way that, like, oh, we shun, and in the way that Jehovah's Witnesses do it. He sort of did it, but it's the closest thing that they can get it to prove that their doctrine is Bible based. So they're gonna take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Saul. Shortly after David
Very
defeated
gay picture.
Goliath, 1 Samuel 18 tells us that Jonathan and David became bound together in close friendship. They made a covenant because Jonathan loved David as himself.
Stop showing this.
So for the rest of his life, Jonathan was loyal.
Like, what are these? This look between them, just staring at this for like 3 straight minutes is really tripping me out.
They were. I mean, there are some people that even Bible scholars that believe that, you know, him and Jonathan, you know, were like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell, you can see that, like, you can totally read this as a very romantic story, like as a very romantic story back then. 100%.
There's homoeroticism in the Bible. It's almost
Starting
like
with this.
Yeah. For case in point, this white guy with bronzer on that they painted.
And look, like grabbing him like by the side a little bit. Look at that. That's no heterosexual way of grabbing your mate. Come on.
And he had the choice to not touch skin, but he did touch skin. You see what I mean?
He went for the neck. Look at that.
He could have gone for the.
That I grabbed you like that, and then I just put my hand like right at the back of your neck, just like that.
Yeah,
that's very sensual.
I would think that you're either going to kill me or kiss me. Yes. Guys, kiss already.
Jehovah's chosen one, and thus Jonathan was loyal to Jehovah. Now, as we know, in time, Jonathan's father, King Saul, was determined to kill David. So Jonathan faced a conflict of loyalties. Would he continue to put his loyalty to Jehovah ahead of his love for family? Well, we know he did.
Oh, well, then why ask?
Fucking
asshole.
Please turn with me to 1 Samuel chapter 20.
Can you tell I'm losing my patience with these videos?
And let's read together verses 30 through 33. Notice the division between Jonathan and his father.
Oh, yeah.
1 Samuel 20, verse 30. Then
1 Samuel, before the even first century congregation, their theology makes no sense.
And it's not what he's talking. What
yeah,
he's talking about is not what happened. Like he didn't love Jonathan because he was God's faithful servant. He loved Jonathan because he was his mate, probably his sexual partner. That's why he loved it. Like he loved them because they had like this connection with each other. That's why he loved them, not because he was God's chosen one. That's nowhere in the Bible. That's just a reading in the Bible that he's giving just to make his point.
Yeah, hit the old thumbs up button by the video because very based and true pilled Crystal says, by the way, can I just say we have 170 people in the chat? Why are there not 170 likes on this stream?
170 people. That's awesome.
You know, just so you know, if you like the stream, you're not liking this guy. And I understand why you might not want to like this guy, but this guy and that guy, wherever Danny
Unless you like this guy. If you like this guy, then yeah, you're liking this guy.
Right. Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Came enraged with Jonathan and said to him, "You son of a rebellious woman,
son of a
do
bitch.
you think I do not know that you are choosing to side with the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother? As long as the son of Jesse is alive on the earth, you and your kingship will not be firmly established."
Yeah, that really applies to modern day Jehovah's Witnesses. Let's get past the fucking Bible.
Heart. And he proved his loyalty to Jehovah ahead of his love for family.
It truly is like guys.
Now, he still supported and cooperated with his father when possible. How do we know? When the Philistines were battling Israel, 1 Samuel chapter 31, verse 2 states, the Philistines kept in close range of Saul and his sons. And the Philistines struck down Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua, Saul's sons.
So
So Jonathan supported his father down to the end of his life. Yet Jonathan's loyalty was with Jehovah.
okay, so in what way are my parents supporting me in any way? Because right now I'm paying them money every month for shit that they're punishing me for. They're like, it's like reverse support. I'm just mad at my parents.
No,
Guys.
this is it's incredible because none of this is Bible based.
But he just read so many scriptures.
What he read to support it, like, that doesn't say what he's saying, and he's just like,
No.
That's why we have to remain loyal to Jehovah. This thing that because David loved Jonathan so much that he probably did the gay sex with him. That's why we have to remain loyal to Jehovah. That's the lesson in here. No, it's not. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Like, they have to take such a long walk to make any kind of sense to modern people living in the year 2023. This is not a bad idea for a video.
That is
at
a really
all.
good idea.
And
really good idea. You should do
this
that. You
is
should do that.
this is a good insult. Son of a rebellious woman.
Rebellious woman.
You son of a rebellious woman. I wish I was the son of a rebellious woman, because that means that my mom also wouldn't be a witness. Sad face.
I wish.
What an outstanding example for those of us with unbelieving family members. We still love them. We still support them as we're able, but we put our loyalty to Jehovah ahead of our love for them. Now, how can we display Jonathan-like loyalty?
Well, I don't want to watch any more of this because it's making me insane. But what he just did is like reassuring people like my parents and your believing family is like, no, you do love them. It's fine. What you're doing is fine. Your love is enough. It's their fault for not thinking our religion is so great.
It's always blaming the victim.
This is why Jehovah's Witnesses need reminders, because it does go against every human instinct. So they have to create new neural pathways to make a new instinct.
Yeah, no, you're totally correct. Like, the Jehovah's Witness doctrine makes so little sense, and it's so inhuman that that's why they need constant reminders about it. Because if they didn't have that, then their human nature would just kick in, and they wouldn't believe this shit. So yeah, it's so evident. Also, it is so evident that it's so boring. How are they so? I struggle to pay attention because I am so used to just tuning out when it's a Sunday noon, to tune out Jehovah's Witness narrative from people in suits. I really felt like I was in the meeting and I was just like, oh, what am I gonna do later today? Oh, well, let's have the chicken. That's
chicken over the.
I'm like, no, pay attention now.
Yeah, exactly.
Now. You have to pay attention.
That's the other thing, is like, so many times as a witness, like, it's easy for me to think. The next video I'm going to release is going to be called, like, Did I Ever Really Believe It? Because that's something I think about a lot. So much of being a witness is not paying attention to the stuff they're saying. Like, you're reading the Watchtower, but not really reading it. And like, you're listening, but you're not really listening. Like, a lot of this stuff does just wash over you as like a fridge buzz. It's not really anything you're really consciously noticing.
Yeah, but that's dangerous because you're not consciously noticing, but your brain does. Like, your brain notices that. You're still absorbing that information. Is without the barrier of critical thinking, which is why you learn to accept just stupid stuff that doesn't make sense, because you're so used to just accepting things without critical thinking that you end up believing shit that very obviously does not make sense or does not make any internal logic or anything.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Jenny. I have to Zoom with my JW grandma's memorial service in a couple hours, and I'm looking forward to the reception for my other JW family Zooming too.
Sorry about
my
that.
Condolences, and that's not fun.
Double condolences. That sounds doubly terrible. Like, for two very different reasons.
I'm interested in how that goes. I had to go to a Zoom funeral for a witness. Old family friend at some point during COVID, and my dad gave the memorial talk. And it was, it didn't make me miss being a witness. I'll say that. I wasn't like, oh, maybe I should go back. But guys, this has been very fun. Danny, where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me not as Danny, but as XJW Caleb on Twitter, which is don't find me there because that's not even called Twitter anymore. So
True, that was an outdated sentence.
just find my videos as XJW Caleb. I try to be Caleb from Caleb and Sophia, but I haven't been able to find the right red shirt with white stripes. I saw it one time at Walmart, but I didn't have enough money to buy it. And I'm like, oh, I know where they sell it. They sell it at Walmart. I never saw it again. I don't know where to find it. I wanted my face reveal to like have that, like to be wearing that, and I wanted to be wearing that all the time, but I haven't been able to find it. So yeah, if somebody knows, like medium and upwards, like I'll even wear an XL. Like it doesn't matter. If somebody has that, please let me know. I'll buy it.
That's a great call to action. Somebody find the Caleb shirt so that XJW Caleb can wear it.
Yes, it should be very cheap. Like it's just a red T-shirt with like white stripes. But I can't. I don't know where to find it. It's insane.
Well, I think it's going to happen because for some reason a lot of people watch these videos, and I think that the chances are pretty good. Now, if I may plug before we go, I will release a video of some kind this week. In case it's not obvious, I'm waiting till the season of Ahsoka is over to do my Ahsoka video because it keeps on adding to my script. But I'm going to do that video on whether or not I really believed it. And if you're wondering, is there some great Patreon I can support that's going to have some exclusive videos and not just a money pit with like my current?
Because I'd love to support it.
But you're thinking, but there's no reason to because Jake doesn't do anything with his Patreon. That's all changing. I'm going to release a video. I'm going to make just exclusive little tangent videos for Patreon. And I figured if I'm going to clickbait people, I'm going to start by talking about somebody who may have made a video about me. And I'll talk about it a little bit in a Patreon video. So look forward to that tomorrow. It probably won't be the kind of video that you think. It will just be me talking to my phone about stuff. It won't be anything fancy, but it'll be fun. So thank you.
Okay, I'm very excited. I am a patron, and this is the very first time that I'm excited of being your patron.
Me too.
I'm very excited.
It's the first time I've been excited to have one. And I'm like, oh, this actually, I was like, I do kind of want to talk about it, but it's not good for the channel. I was like, I have a way to do that.
Yes. Awesome. I can't wait.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you. I don't have an outro. So what I do is I click a button that makes a cool song go. Bye.